guys and gals, Nary here from Drake Wing Gaming. Some of you might know me, some of you know me on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. As you can see, I'm coming at you with the English translation of Beasts of the Thorns. I have very much been looking forward to this. Just the art alone has got me super interested. Thank you to Kaleidoscope, I think that's your name, for doing the fan translation and bringing this to me sooner, because I have been itching to play this. Anyway, y'all, let's jump right into this and see how it is, shall we? Alarm chain, you are up, and let's go. Yes, Wolf's Regen. As the devs. Saying goodbye to your parents is so ephemeral. I never thought farewell words could be so brief. Like feathers floating in the air, even caring advice can't be jotted down, just carried away by the wind to unknown corners. A long-distance bus rumbles and speeds along Highway 33 in early summer, familiar sights swiftly fading like old movie scenes. Endless yellow plains dotted with sparse bushes, gray clouds blend with mist, casting a thin layer of gray over the landscape. That's cool. I watched the tired aura emanating from the scattered travelers, silence and detachment filling the interior of the long-distance bus. There were no laughs, only faintly hearing someone tuning into a broadcast about monster policies. Monster policies. Concerned about matters beyond their control. I sighed quietly to myself. I've always loved traveling, the excitement of journeys filled with the unknown, but the current situation is far from my ideal travel experience. Just a day ago, I left the home I've lived in for 20 years, embarking on a journey alone, without pleasant travel plans, only rushed itineraries. Yet strangely, just a day later, I can't clearly remember my parents' farewell words, their attitudes, expressions, or the looks in their eyes. Before leaving home, I stored all the accumulated belongings from my childhood to adulthood in a warehouse in the suburbs, whether it was gifts from friends or the tie clip my father gave me on when I was becoming an adult. They're all piled up in the dark corner of the warehouse. The few belongings I brought with me are anxiously swaying in the overhead compartment. I hope I haven't forgotten anything. After all, going back home to get things after immigrating is almost an impossible task. Let me speed up text speed a little bit. There we go. Okay. This rhetoric is certainly exaggerated, but I really didn't want to trouble my parents. I can't rely on my only brother either, although I'm grateful for the job opportunity he introduced me to, which currently spares me from financial worries. I don't think he wants to see his little brother in the short term. All of this is just because I suddenly blanked out. As the long-distance bus drove into the wilderness, the temperature gradually dropped. I shivered beneath my thin hooded jacket, feeling the flow of my blood slowing down. The helmet blocked out most of the sound, making me feel as if I were sinking underwater. I floated in the darkness, amidst the distant, heavy, dull noises, feeling detached from reality. The world felt so far away from me. So far. Suddenly, my non-existent ears seemed to hear someone calling me, pulling my attention back from the darkness. Excuse me, are you Hess? That helmet was custom-made by me, didn't you remember? It was his birthday gift. This must be him. I can hardly believe my ears. Chris! Amor! Hey, that's me, no doubt about it. You look really rough, brother. But how did you guys end up here? I looked towards the source of the sound. However, the surprise quickly turned into shock. I didn't see my familiar friends. In front of me were only two unfamiliar beastmen, speaking with the voice of my good friend. Chris, who is a year older than me, has always been the king among the neighborhood kids since we were young, but somehow he always took better care of me than my own brother. After entering high school, Chris transformed from the mischievous troublemaker into the dependable big brother who looked after us, helped us navigate through the difficult teenage years. However, after he went to college, we grew somewhat distant. After all, his family background didn't allow him much free time. Maintaining his scholarship and working part-time took up most of his time. Although we still text each other and exchange greetings, we hardly spend any time together. Amor, on the other hand, was my college classmate. He easily got along with anyone, was popular among the girls, and often had rumors circulating around him. However, he never confirmed or denied any of them. In fact, I never saw him getting particularly close to any girl. Most of the time, he got along well with all of our classmates. In every class, there are usually one or two individuals who excel in socializing. Amor, however, was respected by the entire grade. During group projects, for some reason, he always ended up in my group. Consequently, we spent a lot of time together after class and gradually became close. However, as I watched them apart from their voices, there were no identifiable clues. Chris turned into a big dog while Amor became a handsome fox. I never imagined someone's appearance could have such an impact across species. Ha! A bit awkward, isn't it? You're not the only one who's been found out. We've had a total of 3 in our community. Can you believe it? Of course, you, sir, are the most famous one in this neighborhood. But, Chris, what about your studies? You've worked so hard for that scholarship. Yes, you don't need to worry. I'm not suddenly reverting back. I've always been this way. Sorry for keeping it from you for so long. I've tried to confess to you, but I've always been afraid. The foreign college offers better scholarships and grants for students in the university here, so I won't have to worry about money issues in the future. So, what were you guys like before? Mimicry. Most monsters are capable of it. You'd be surprised how many are hiding within this society. And don't give me that look. Even though you don't have a head, I can still read you. Oops, accidentally exposed myself. It's not because of you that the government got involved. Don't blame yourself. For me, it's actually more relaxing this way. And isn't it quite handsome? I don't know how many times I've wanted to show off to you guys. That makes sense now. I always see fur stuck on your clothes. I've been brushing diligently. You haven't seen me shedding yet. That's when I'm truly a fur monster. So you're... I am the famous nine-tailed... I'm the famous nine-tailed. My distant relative? A distant relative of... It's probably like the kind of blood relationship between humans and chimpanzees. Not that extreme. I'm just a Yukon. And you, Chris? I'm not sure what kind of monster I am. Almore's parents speculate that I'm a Sioux Sith. A Ku Sith. Maybe it's a Sioux Sith. Wow. I took Chris's hand and inspected it. It had grown about a size larger, with fur growing between the leathery pads. I couldn't help but rub his paw. Hey. I noticed that as I rubbed, Chris started wagging his tail. Chris quickly realized this and withdrew his hand, maintaining the dignity of being the big brother. Chris, you seem to have grown taller. I'm usually like this when I'm alone. Actually, I'm used to both forms. I'm not particularly fond of mimicry. It's too exhausting. Almore reached out his hand, indicating that he wanted me to look at his paw pad, too. Beans! His paw pad is pink, quite smooth and elastic. His hand is slimmer than Chris's and the fur is finer. I gave it a gentle press. His paw pad feels closer to the texture of a human palm. Too much information to digest. I released Almore's hand and sank into thought. On one hand, I feel sad and angry that my friends were also exiled from the human community. But on the other hand, I felt glad to have their company. Going to the outskirts alone was just too painful. Yet this fleeting happiness filled me with remorse. Hess, are you okay? I snapped out of it, seeing confusion and concern written all over Chris's face. It's hard for me to read your emotions now. Ha! Well, I don't have a head anymore, remember? Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. By the way, can I take a look inside the helmet? I'm curious. Chris's tail stood straight, glaring at Almore with obvious intent. This form of his became even easier to interpret. Ever since he took the initiative to take care of us, he'd become increasingly skilled at hiding his emotions. Sure, why not? I shrugged. They'd both been honest with me, so I saw no need to hide, so I took off the helmet. Chris and Almore looked at me with confusion. So, you can see and hear? I can also speak and smell, but I don't need to eat. This is truly breathtaking, defying science. I can't find the words. Chris majored in biological sciences in college. Now, I think he was probably trying to unravel the mysteries of his own body, seeking a reasonable explanation. However, Dullahan's body completely denies the possibility of explanations based on the scientific common sense. Sorry, may I? Yo, the art in this is fantastic. Oh, I just noticed he's got little braids. Chris reached for where my cheek should have been, but his palm didn't touch anything. Then he snapped his fingers right in the center. The sound seemed to echo inside my brain. You can't expect to explain these things with common sense. I believe the Research Institute at the Outskirts University can explain this issue, or at least find a way to integrate you into human society. Return to human society? My palms are sweating. I've never considered this before. Is that even possible? I'm not sure about the specific method, but look at me. I've successfully infiltrated the human community for over 20 years without being discovered. It's reasonable to assume there should be a way for you to mimic as well. Besides, you're humanoid. But weren't you eventually discovered? Chris glanced at Amor. Basically, I voluntarily made myself known. I don't want to go into details, but living in the human community no longer holds much appeal to me. I couldn't help but recall Chris's troubled family background and the traumas he never mentioned. It's hard to imagine how he managed it on his own. I couldn't do much to help him in his difficult times. I'm a terrible friend, always accepting his help. Believe me, I've already moved on. Perhaps seeing my hesitation, Chris switched to an encouraging tone. It's actually you that I'm worried about. I think it might be difficult for you to adapt to the world of monsters. I've watched you grow up since you were little. You've become too accustomed to human life. Now I'm not the me from childhood anymore. But there are some things that will never change for me. I actually think the monster community is pretty good. The number of monsters is small, but our cohesion is strong enough. The social welfare is also very good, not to mention how excellent the faculty is in foreign universities. Monster Enterprises prioritize hiring monsters, and there are guarantees from education to retirement. Then why didn't you move to the foreign territories earlier? This side is more convenient, with the sports games, exhibitions, and all. It's the advantage of being close to the big city. All the entertainment you could want. I've grown tired of rural areas. This reminds me of the first time I met Amor during our freshman year of college. His family had moved from a distant southern port city to our community, and everything seemed novel to him. Even the small shopping center and amusement park in our neighborhood kept him enthralled. Ever since then, we've been regulars at the amusement park. Amor even held the title of fighting game champion for several years. I think I'll miss the times when we used to play video games together. It's the time for you to graduate from the video games too. Yeah, you don't even play with me anymore. I'm not like you, able to breeze through academics. Just juggling work and writing papers keeps me busy enough. Come on, struggling student. The standards are much higher at foreign universities. I can help you with your studies anyway. You probably won't stay long. Or do you want to stay until graduation? Chris's tone carries a suppressed eagerness. I was taken aback by his proposal. Chris rarely reveals his desires. His upbringing has accustomed him to accepting unfair reality, so I had to ponder over this proposal. I feel like there's nothing wrong with it. After all, it's uncertain whether we'll find a way to shapeshift or when we'll find it. We might end up finishing university without any explanation. Plus, I don't think I'd be welcome back home. Have you ever considered the possibility of getting expelled from school due to poor grades? Amor chuckled with a teasing tone. I angrily poked Amor's nose with my finger, and he laughed, dodging away. I couldn't help but laugh, too. After going through so much, having good friends by my side is something I never dared to hope for at the beginning. Before being discovered as a throwback, I never imagined the hostility of the human community towards monsters. Although I often heard in the news about monsters being discovered lurking in human society, in reality the harm caused by monsters is not common. There are even a few advocacy groups fighting for monster rights. It made me think that humans and monsters were at least coexisting peacefully. But after becoming a Dullahan, I realized that was only because the old me wasn't on the minority side. Not the side whose voice could be heard. Thinking about this, I reached out and clasped the paws of my two friends. Thank you. Any time, brother. I'm here for you. You can always rely on me. You can always count on us. I'm going to pause it right there. I love this so far. Alright, y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Before I go, I'm going to give a quick shout out to our lovely bronze tier patrons. Thank you all for all you do for the channel. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you to our silver tier patron, Cade Silverman. Thank you for going above and beyond. It's greatly appreciated. And thank you to our gold tier patron, Trezum Guy. You're awesome. We love you. Thank you for subbing to Ultimate Tier. Anyway, if y'all want to get your names in the credits, get access to all of our not safe for work contents as little as $5. Alrighty, I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye.